is the word fun. Studying here is a lot of fun. Intellectual fun, friendly fun, knowledge fun, personal experiment fun. It's just fun, okay? So if you can afford yourself, not being so serious Russian, if you can afford yourself a little bit of fun for the duration of the program, you should do it. It will be the best gift you will ever get. So, controlling the negotiations, 10 process steps. If you have any questions during the lecture, don't be afraid to ask. I'm an Israeli. I'm used to get cut during the presentation. No chance that you will cut my line of thinking just because I don't have any line of thinking. I just don't go. When we speak about negotiations, usually this is probably the default.
Да. Сколько их там? Я не знаю. Давай считай. 7 слева и 5 справа. 4 справа, 2 слева. Нам нужно найти главного. Монголоры не сражаются без вожака. Еще один выскочит, и мы начнем убивать заложников. Это их вожак. Пришлите кого-нибудь в переговоры. Я никогда этим еще не занимался. Ты не против, если я попробую? Нет, ради бога. Мы отправляем вам нашего человека на переговоры. Кто-нибудь еще хочет переговорить со мной? И где он этому научился?
Still, after 7 years in Russia, my Israeli colleagues are still asking me, what are you doing in Moscow? Are you teaching Russians how to negotiate? I said, yes, why not? They said, why not? Because you know the Russian negotiation strategy, right? There is a man, there is a problem. No man, no problem. And I smile because when I started here 7 years ago, that was basically the mentality. Now, after 23 MBAs and 6 or 7 MBAs and thousands of Russian executives that I teach you through executive education, I can tell you dramatically that the Russian negotiation mentality is changing. Is changing. More and more people, business people, your generation, young generation, do understand that you need to expand your toolbox. That if you come to negotiation only sila, you will not get what you want. Or maybe you will get what you want, but it will collapse after 1 year, 2 years. So when the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail, is a beautiful sentence. And the more people expand their toolbox, the more people understand that there are more and more techniques, they get much more results and effective processes. So remember, if you think that there is one way to negotiate, you're wrong. There are plenty of negotiation ways and techniques and tactics. Which one is darker, the top one or the lower one? How many of you think the top one? Raise your hand if you think that the top one is darker. How many of you think the lower one? How many of you don't think? You were right, those two gentlemen who said the same. They are the same. They are the same. Why most of us think that the top one is darker? Why? The pale background and the context. Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be able to think strategically or systemically about negotiation, you have to adopt what we call contextual thinking. What does it mean? It means that the context is the king or the queen. It means that the first thing we do when we come to any negotiation event, any negotiation situation, I want to understand what is the context. Cutting a deal or looking for a partner in Moscow in March 2014 was dramatically different than looking a partner March 2015, 2 months after the collapse of the ruble. Context was dramatically different. Before the war, after the war, with this government, before election, after election, before FIFA, after FIFA. When I come to any negotiation event, I try to ask several context questions. For example, am I negotiating within a deal or within a conflict? Not surprisingly, since the collapse of the ruble, since the financial crisis, most of my work in Russia with business people is in conflict context. There were two partners. They started partnership in the good times, then came bad times, they want to split. They have a conflict. Negotiating in conflict is different because there is emotion, there is past. Negotiating deal could be straightforward. Internal or external? Internal negotiation inside the company. I think that this is my first negotiation experience. I'm a young legal intern, Ministry of Defense. I'm working for the Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin on the Israeli-Jordanian negotiations. And I was called to present to him something for his decision. So I presented data, and then I dared to say my opinion. I said, Mr. Prime Minister, I believe that the Jordanian will agree to that. He takes off his glasses, looked at me, and said, young man, the problem is never with the Arabs. The problem is always with the Jews. Since then, and that's true, you know that sometimes the negotiation between your legal advisor and the Zakupki, or between the Zakupki and the engineers inside the company, sometimes is more difficult than negotiation with the external client or supplier or partner. Why? Because internal negotiations, you don't do all these tricks. With external negotiations, you don't need to share all the information, but try not to share all the information with your finance officer. So we need to define internal or external, Russians or international. There is a lot of cultural differences between Russian and their negotiations. Negotiating with a Russian partner is not like negotiating with an international. Chinese are not like India. Indians are not like Americans. Americans are not like Brits. So I need to factor in dramatically the cultural when I analyze the context. Real or fake negotiations? Sometimes I just negotiate not because I want a deal. Sometimes because I want to chew time. Sometimes because I want to manipulate the other side, not to go and negotiate with one of my competitors. This is also a very important contextual question that I want to ask myself. Bilateral, I negotiate with Marina only, or mediated? I have a conflict with Marina, and I asked Alisa, I asked Alisa to mediate. Mediated, bilateral, or project management. Project management is a multi-party negotiation. Something